And now the question was, when the client's working in a context, we'll use a clean sheet. The client comes in, we said, is there anything in the universe you'd like to work with today? And the client's eyes go, boing. Yeah, huge. Why? Because it was too big. Right. So then we bring them into context and just say, so if there's anything, that we say in this next hour we're working, next half hour, whatever it is, this time frame, is there something that would be really good for you to work with, that if it was cleared for you, would make the biggest impact for you? Does that make sense? So if there's something in this time frame that if you were to work with, would give you the biggest win or the biggest shift to help you right now. So we've gone from the entire universe, yeah? And we've narrowed it down. So now we're in a context. But whatever the context is, now we're watching the client. Does the client now go, well, if you're watching what I'm doing, it looks like I'm fixating down here, but actually I'm flixating, stevemaris.com. I'm flixating because I've flicked up very quickly and locked down because I do not want to access that space. So this is telling you that the emotion memory image is stored here. Now the NLP community would argue, well, I'm having an internal dialogue. Yes, I am, but I'm having an internal dialogue about that emotional memory image, and it's outside of my awareness. All I know is I'm locked because of that. So we've noticed fixation, yeah? But it's fixated flick, and it looks like they're fixing, but they're actually in avoidance. Does that make sense? It's a really subtle difference, but it's huge. Otherwise, and many beginners to this practice will think, oh, the client is definitely fixated. But if you weren't ready, maybe you were busy setting up, or you looked the other way and you missed the flick. It's flick jam. It's just and that little touch in there drives the avoidance. And now, when you're chatting to them, you'll even notice, and that's why I love demonstrating with the chair, put them on the bar stool, because you'll notice they will turn into you and away from this area. Now that's interesting also for body workers, physiotherapists, osteopaths. That's interesting because they're going to get all of this pain and muscle tension, all of that. Why? Because they're literally avoiding that area. Yeah. Any more questions on this one? Was there enough in that one? Yes, there was something else I needed to add, which is why split second unlearning is different from the traditional, this is your traditional therapy model. So what we're doing is different. And what I'm going to show you is very simple. Here's the hill, and here's your client's problem. Yeah, so problem sit there. If you allow them to unpack the problem, yeah, that is going to go down that hill. yeah? And as it's going down the hill, it's getting bigger and bigger, yeah? That's what happens when you tell me about your problem, blah, blah, blah. What we're looking to do is, as they come to this spot, they haven't gone in, yeah? If you imagine the problem is a door, yeah? They haven't opened the door yet. That is where we, with Split Second Unlearning, do our fastest work. This is the cleanest piece. Because if we go in here, the problem doesn't get to roll into a bigger problem. Yeah? So we're coming in here and we're noticing, have their eyes fixated, or the inversion, or avoidance. And we keep the client here. This is where we work. We do not want to go beyond the curve. We've got to work here. We keep it light and we keep the client curious. You can read our paper, Split Second Unlearning, definition of emotion. There's several papers. If you check out Hudson.com and have a look at my literature, all of the academic papers are there to support this. But let's have a look. If we've got the client curious, think about that from a dopamine receptors. The client usually gets to this point, begins to unpack their problem, it's rolling down, and now their brain is filling with cortisol and stress. Yeah? Why? Because we allowed it to happen. And that's why this is a teaching process that has a therapeutic byproduct, but it's a teaching product because we're clearing barriers to learning. If we get them curious, we're actually upgrading their neurochemistry. So instead of going that way, this disintegrates. It disintegrates because we're bringing in curiosity, we're shining more light in, because at the point that the curiosity builds and builds and builds, and we bring new learning in, the past ceases to be the past. Okay?